Hey ladies, this is another video for those of you that watch this channel. My name is Harry Wilmington, and I had a thought that was interesting that I thought would be helpful to you ladies to know. So sometimes when I'm in the midst of dating women, inevitably a situation will come up where a woman will want my help for something or will want to go to some place, and they'll ask me, "Hey, um, would you mind going to this place? Do you mind doing this thing? Or how do you feel about doing X, Y, and Z?" And sometimes I don't always necessarily feel like I'm wanting to do a thing, but that doesn't mean that I won't do a thing if it's going to make them happy or if it's going to help them out in some way. So, say, for example, a woman's like, "Hey, how do you feel about helping me move these boxes to my car?" Well, as a guy, I don't necessarily have a feeling about that certain thing. If you're asking me in that moment, though, if I am actually wanting to do a thing, let's say I'm like sitting down playing video games or I'm in the midst of doing something else, and they come and say, "Hey, how like would you like to help me do this thing or this or whatever?" Well, in that moment, I might not necessarily feel like doing that thing. Like it's not the most exciting thing in the world. I didn't plan my day, for example, moving these boxes to your car, but I would still do it. But it's interesting because for a guy, when you ask that, if you ask it in that way, like, "Hey, do you feel like doing a thing?" Sometimes the answer honestly is no, we don't feel like doing that thing. And I think, but we'll still do the thing. And I think sometimes when women hear that, they feel like insulted or they're wondering, well, how is it that I don't want to make him do something that he doesn't want to do, but shouldn't he want to help me do this thing? Shouldn't he want to go to this place with me that I want to go to? And I think it's important to be aware of the fact that sometimes a lot of men do not equate the wanting of doing something with having to do that action. We are ultimately born to have a sense of duty. And so that means that if a thing needs to happen that's going to benefit another person, even if it's not something we feel like doing, oftentimes we'll still do it out of a sense of duty to that person for the sense of the relationship because we know it's going to make you happy, even if it's in the moment not something we were planning on having to do. And sometimes we just don't have a feeling about doing certain things. But I think about it like this. I think about the fact that, since it's a majority of men that are in the army, men are a lot of men sign up for the army, for the Marines, and stuff like that, and they do that not necessarily because they want to go to war because they have a sense of duty. But if a war were to take place and the general came up to them and said, "Hey, how do you feel about going to war?" Most men would probably be like, "Well, I don't feel like going to war. But if it's to protect my country, then I'll go ahead and do that thing, regardless of how I'm feeling about it, because the sense of duty is going to overtake my personal motivations for this thing." And that's the thing. I think sometimes women feel like it feels like women feel as though if a man is not feeling a motivation to want to do a thing, that he shouldn't do it. And I think that honestly comes because on your lady's side of things, oftentimes you ladies get pushed sometimes to do things you don't want to do, and so you're feeling as though you don't want to put that burden on a guy to do that if that's not his position. But again, out of sense of duty for the relationship and out of the sense of duty for being able to help you, if if the doing the thing is something that's going to benefit you or make you feel good and feel helped and feel loved, then we don't always necessarily have to have the greatest feeling in the world about doing something or about going somewhere to do that thing. Okay. So I say this because, like I said, I've seen many women get their feelings hurt when they go to a guy and say, "Hey, do you want to do this thing, or do you want to help me do a certain thing?" And the guy's like, "Well, no, but I'll still do it." And maybe that's the answer that guys shouldn't give to women. But if you're asking us, we take it as you're asking us you're asking us two questions. You're asking us our actual truth in the moment about whether or not we want to do the thing, and then you're also asking us, will we do the thing? And sometimes the answer could be, we don't feel like doing the thing, but we will still do the thing if it's going to benefit you. Okay. So, all that to say, try not to take that as too much of an insult, because ultimately the fact that the guy is still willing to do the thing, especially if he's not going to be resentful. I want to make this clear because I don't want you to be in a position where guys are doing things for you but then resenting it later. Okay. But for a lot of guys, sometimes we don't have a feeling about a thing. If you're asking us to move some boxes to your car, that is not the thing we wanted to do that day, but we'll still do it if it's going to help you. Okay. And so just give us a little leeway about that kind of stuff. We don't always have as many feelings about every single thing that we do in life as ladies do sometimes. I know you all have, a lot of times equate the things you're doing with how you feel about doing something. And it's not to say that we don't at times, but most of the time it's just kind of like some things in life just need to get done. Like I think a lot of men's motivations for things are like, we just need to get the thing done. Somebody's got to do it. I'm here. It might as well be me. It doesn't have to be the highlight of my day for me to still do this thing. And again, especially if it's going to help my lady out. So that's it. Just a little short thing for you ladies up there to see. So next time you ask your guy, hey, do you want to do this thing? Be mindful that maybe there's a better way to ask that. You could just say, hey, will you help me do this thing? Hey, will you go with me to this place? And then you don't have to worry about what our actual feeling is about it, because sometimes we just don't care. And we also sometimes fear that if we say that if we say our honest truth, which is that we don't necessarily feel like doing the thing, but we'll still do it, that's going to hurt your feelings. And in order to have open, honest communication, sometimes that means either A, asking the right questions so you don't have to hear the answer that you don't want, or if a guy gives you the exact answer of what he's feeling, and if he'll do the thing, to accept that as ultimately he's doing it because he loves you and he wouldn't be doing otherwise. So that's it. That's all I got for this video for you ladies. So if you have any questions you want me to answer on one of these videos, feel free to leave it in the comments and I will chat with you later. All right. Enjoy the